the stand. Now he runs. He produces a magic trick. He pulls out another one. This is incredible. This is ridiculous. This is 15 out of 10 on the incredible meter. What a player. What an entertainer. Give him the medal. Give him the Delier medal.
Hello, footy fans, and welcome back to the Chip and Chase podcast. We've got a bit of a sore throat today, so I'm going to try and make our Saturday game previews podcast a little bit quicker, try and get through this one at a bit of a rapid pace. Don't really want to be talking too much when my throat's ripping me to shreds like this. So let's get straight into it, shall we? Saturday, 4th of May, 3 p.m, we kick things off with the Bulldogs taking on the Wests Tigers. Bulldogs currently sitting in 9th place on the ladder. Tigers down in 11th. This one's a Core Stadium, Sydney. So it's a Bulldogs home game, but once again, two Sydney-based clubs. So you'd expect a pretty neutral fan base attending this game, especially when both teams can definitely get the victory in this one. Let's start by looking at some team list changes. Now, of course, as has been the tale this week, lots and lots of late mail, lots of late changes to clubs. The Bulldogs are included in that. Blake Taaffe has been promoted from the interchange to fullback, with Connor Tracy dropping out. Now, I haven't heard too much word on Connor Tracy. I'd assume there's an injury there because he hasn't been named in their reserves, or he hasn't even gone to the bench. So I think there must be something going on there. But regardless, Blake Taaffe, not a bad replacement to have at fullback. So he is number one in this game. Beyond that, their team is pretty much the same. Kurt Mann returns from his hand injury at lock, and Josh Curran has been pushed to front row to start there. Jacob Preston has also been included on the bench now as a late change, coming back from his injury. So those are the changes for the Doggies. For the Tigers, they've named an unchanged 17 from last week. The only change is that the late male Appy Coruscant is out, which means Jake Simpkin starts at hooker in jersey 18. Only change there. It's just a straight swap for those two. Appy unable to overcome that back injury from round 8 last week. So only change there is that Jake Simpkin gets a good run there, which I like. I'm actually a big fan of Jake Simpkin. I think he's looked good in his opportunity, so I like that little switch there. But that is all for these two teams in terms of my tips. Now, we're not going too well in the tipping this week or this year in general. I took the Seagulls, who, as we know, last night blew a massive lead. I took the Broncos over the Roosters, who, sure, they had a massive injury count for that one. So very, very tough for them to get the win there. But I also thought the Roosters played them well and truly off the park. They were incredible, the Roosters. So got that one wrong as well. So we're 1 from 3 leading into this one. So I'd like to get this one right. I have taken the Bulldogs as my tip. Not in the most confidence. I do think the Tigers have been playing some decently consistent footy this year. They're always staying in the games. They never look like they're going to end up on the back end of that scoreline against the Cowboys last year, for instance. They just seem to hang in and try to the very end. Like, they threw the ball around in the last dying moments of the Panthers game and scored a couple tries just because they compete, and I love that. But I do think the Bulldogs are beginning to show that, the plan that's been in place, the plan that Cameron Serrato has been implementing and wanting to get out of his side. I think they're playing some pretty good footy, some gritty footy. Again, it's so weird. I sit here and look at their team and I'm like, it just shouldn't be competing, and it's not the team that I'd be selecting, but he makes it work, so really good for that. Beyond that, by the way, Blake Wilson's actually included in jersey 19, so hopefully it looks like he's gotten over that pretty bad bout of influenza, so that's really good to see. Not in the starting side for the Bulldogs, but good to see him back just in and around the squad. But yeah, I have tipped the Bulldogs in this one. I just think they're playing a bit more consistent, a bit better football overall than the Tigers, so they're my tip to win this one. In terms of my matchup of the game, let's take a look around, shall we? Is there anything that really stands out to me? Not really, to be honest. There's no matchups that just, are off the park, just really, really good. Bronson Jerry's going to be lining up on Brent Naden's side, not my favourite. Olam and Crichton, that could be a good one. Even Josh Hadakar left side will be up against Charlie Staines, the the Forbes Ferrari maybe there. But I don't mind the Stephen Crichton, Justin Olam shout right there. So I'll look to that as my matchup of the game. Into my bet. Now, once again, we do all of our betting through Sportsbet. I'm not affiliated with Sportsbet in any way. They are just the agency that I choose to bet with. If you want to follow along with these bets, please do it with Sportsbet, because a lot of these markets may not be available in other betting agencies, and even if they are, the odds may be completely different. So if you want to follow along the closest you can to what I'm doing here, just go through Sportsbet. But once again, please make sure that when we are gambling responsibly. Do not bet what you can't afford. Gambling is just meant to be a little bit of fun here and there. And if gambling is no longer fun for you, please do seek help. But we'll get straight into this one regardless. So first leg of multi, we've just got Canterbury Bulldogs head-to-head. Haven't gone for a 1-12 or a 13+. Just I like their head-to-head in this one. I've got Josh Curran as an anytime try scorer. So that's where a lot of the money comes in this one. Not a noted try scorer, especially since he's moved to the Bulldogs. Playing at front row as well. But look, there's something about Josh Curran. He always looks likely. He's never quite getting there, but yeah, I'm going to back him in for this one. So Josh Curran, anytime try scorer. And I've got the match going under 40.5 total match points. So that's Canterbury Bulldogs head-to-head. Josh Curran, anytime try scorer, and under 40.5 total match points for the odds of $19.75. But that would wrap us up for the Bulldogs-Tigers matchup. Let's move into the second Saturday game, that one being the Gold Coast Titans taking on the Melbourne Storm at Cbus Super Stadium, Gold Coast, 5:30 p.m. So, as obviously a Titans home game, they're currently sitting down in 16th in the ladder, Storm sitting pretty up in third. But we'll get straight into this little game here and look through the ins and outs. Now, for the Titans, Philip Sami makes his return from injury on the wing at the expense of Alofiana Khan Pereira. Harley Smith-Shields also returns in the centres, pushing Aaron Schopp out. Joe Simpson gets the start at front row in the absence of Mo Fotuaika, who was out for 1 week with concussion. So Simpson getting that shot right there. Once again, Dave Fifita named at second row, but will probably start from the bench. But we'll have to see that when game time rolls around. For the Storm, not too much here. Tyron Wishart still named on the wing for them. They have named him at number 5. Have they cut their bench? Yeah, they've cut their bench and they've left Dean Aramea and Sua Farlongo. I expect one of these players will come into the side on the wing, and Tyron Wishart will drop to the bench, and Bronson Garlick, who has been named in jersey 14, will probably make way. That is how I predict this one. I'm hearing it could be Sua, and they're just keeping it under wraps. They haven't named him because there's already so much hype on Sua, so they don't want to get him hyped up already. I think he will be a late inclusion onto the wing, but we'll have to wait and see for that one. I can only relay the information available to me. But in terms of tipping, look, let's be real, it has to be the Storm. Titans, fantastic win last week against my bloody Warriors. Really happy for the Titans. It's just so good for them to get off the board, and I hope it gives them some confidence and they can continue to play well. I mean, last year, they did get this victory over the Storm, I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken. So they could get a win. I don't see it happening. I think this Storm side is better than their side of last year. I think they're playing some really, really good footy. Titans, despite the win, they still have been overall pretty poor this season. So I just think the Storm get a good win here. And by good win, I do mean it could be a bit more than a little 1-12 for the Storm. So that is my tip with this one. In terms of the matchups, now there's a few to look at, but I don't want to go any further than AJ Brimson and Ryan Pappenhausen in the fullback role. Of course, this game is Cameron Munster's 200th, so really excited to see how he plays in this one, and I'm also excited to see Tanner Boyd continue his little redemption arc. I think he's been playing some really good footy since he's been recalled to the side. But AJ Brimson, he is the spearhead. He's the heart and soul of this Titans team. He's back at fullback. He's playing his best footy. Ryan Pappenhausen playing some really good footy. 2 live wire fullbacks for these two teams. So that is the matchup I want to focus on in this one. I really want both these players to really light up the stage and have a great game in this one. So AJ Brimson, Ryan Pappenhausen, my matchup for this game, which leads us into the bets. Let's start with the Melbourne Storm. I've got them to cover the line. The line is 13.5 points. So basically what this means for people who aren't too familiar with lines or betting in general, it essentially means that the Titans start with a 13.5 head start. It's like the game ticks off and the Titans already have 13.5 points on the board. So the Melbourne Storm have to win the game by over 13.5 points for this to win. So essentially, they have to beat the Titans by 14 or more points to win this leg, which I think they can do. So I've just included that one there as the first leg. I've got Nick Meaney as an anytime try scorer. I've been backing him a few times, whether on the podcast or just in my own little bets. He hasn't quite got there, but he's looked better the last couple of weeks. And I've also got Cameron Munster as an anytime try scorer in his 200th. He was electric last week. He was my tip for player of the round. I think he could do something like that again, and especially his 200th. I hope they get up for it, and I hope he gets up for it, and I'm quite sure they will. So Cameron Munster and Nick Meaney are the try scorers, and that comes to the odds of $10.50. So once again, if you're putting $1 on that and you win all three legs, you win $10.50 back to the dollar. But that will see us move on to the final Saturday game between the North Queensland Cowboys and the Dolphins. Queensland Country Bank Stadium, Townsville, 7:35 p.m. Cowboys currently sitting in 10th and the Dolphins up in 6th. My apologies. So really exciting for this one. But before we get into how we see it and beyond that, let's go into the team list changes. For the Cowboys, there have been some late mail. Jake Clifford has come into halfback for Chad Townsend, who was out with, I believe, a quad strain. So nothing too severe for Townsend, but he is going to miss this week, which sees Jake Clifford make his return to the Cowboys team, which is going to be very exciting. I hope he has a great game. Viliami Vailea has come in at centre for the injured Tom Chester. So he makes his club debut. Vailea, really excited to see how he goes. Lots of raps on him when he was at the Warriors. Didn't quite kick on between form and injury and whatnot. Hopefully we can see him have a good few weeks in the absence of Chester at the Cowboys. Beyond that, they've named a pretty stock standard team, very similar to the one that lined up last week. The only inclusion is that Helam Lukey comes onto the interchange jersey 14, returning from injury, which pushes Jake Granville out of the side. Moving on to the Dolphins. There is not much to note here. They've named essentially the exact same 17 that they named last week. The only changes are that Kenny Bromwich is out with that injury that he sustained, but he's off put by the replacement of Felice Corfusi, who comes back from his little hamstring injury. And also Connolly Lemuelu comes onto the bench, returning from injury in jersey 17 as well. So Oren Keeley drops out. But those are the only changes for the Dolphins. So in terms of tips, I've gone the Cowboys in this one. I can't recall if they're favourites. Give me a quick look. They are lower on the ladder. It's not showing me odds, unfortunately. Anyway, I've gone the Cowboys in this one. They are lower on the ladder, but they are playing, I think, a little bit better footy than... I don't know if they're playing better footy than the Dolphins. They've both been... look, maybe that was a harsh call. I do think the Dolphins are playing some good football. Even last week, a disappointing loss to the Knights, but they weren't terrible by any means, and they also rallied late to get that one close. So they are playing some decent footy, the Dolphins. I just think the Cowboys are going to be looking to bounce back from their couple of losses on the trot. They're going to want to put a score on here. So I just see that happening for them being at home. Yeah, Cowboys, they are my tip to win this one. If we look at matchups, look, I want to go straight to the fullbacks again, to be honest. Scott Drinkwater, Trey Fuller. Trey Fuller has been electric ever since he's played first grade, since his performance last year, his two performances this year. God, he's a live wire. I really love watching Trey Fuller play. And Scott Drinkwater, we know what he can do. He's essentially the entirety of the Cowboys attack. He's so good. But yeah, I really want to look at those two as my matchup. Trey Fuller, Scott Drinkwater. I think they're going to be very influential to their sides, getting the results, getting the chockies in this one. So that is my matchup. Into our bets, I do have, as we said, the North Queensland Cowboys as head-to-head winners. I then have Trey Fuller as an anytime try scorer, and I have the match going under 48.5 total match points, which is the moneymaker in this one. We know that essentially both these sides can score a lot of points. So to go under 48.5 total match points, it's a little bit of a risky one, but I see it being a little bit more of a grind with these two sides. I think Wayne Bennett's going to have it instilled in this Dolphins team that they have to defend well against the Cowboys attack, and I'm really excited to see how these ones match up against each other. But once again, that is North Queensland Cowboys head-to-head, Trey Fuller anytime try scorer, and under 48.5 total match points for the odds of $10 on the dot. And that one there wraps us up for our Saturday previews. Normally I record these all in the one hit. I didn't get that done just due to time issues. So this one has been recorded on the Saturday morning. So hopefully not too many changes that we have to speak on. I will also be back to record our Sunday ones on the Sunday morning. So don't expect that every week. A lot of the time I'll just record all of these on the Thursday, and there might just be late changes that change everything I say. But that's just how the time constraints go. This week, you're lucky. Everything's being recorded on the days that they're played. So hopefully, not too many late news for them, and everything holds up pretty well from what I say. But that one will in fact do us. So thank you guys for tuning into this one, and I'll see you guys next time.